We got Mark Cupelo from Syracuse Tailgate, Mark Hayes from Orange United joining us here in studio. We'll get back to your nonsense conversation, Paulie, maybe in the next segment. But we're here to talk NIL. And Mark Cupelo, I'm going to start with you. Bring us up to date on the tailgate and since we last spoke.
Sure, Steve. And I think for those that have heard me talk about it before, this whole thing really started out as kind of a lark between a handful of guys, and somebody floated an idea. Why don't we see if we can raise a few $100s? We'll give it to an under-the-radar player, use his name, rebrand our tailgate, and we'll get to play NIL. Well, that first year, things just exploded. We raised just over $16,000 in pledges, primarily from the SyracuseFan.com community. The second year, we expected some novelty, a little bit of a drop-off. And I think when I spoke with you last, we were a little bit under that 16,000 mark. You know, thanks in part to talking to you and being on the air with you. We got a lot of new donors who jumped in and referenced hearing about it on this show for the first time. We went over $20,000.
That's awesome.
Year. Our 2-year total is just shy of $40,000. We've done deals with 28 Syracuse student athletes across 6 different sports, either in sponsorships, in video appearances. Enrique Cruz does a video for us every week, and he brought guests in last year. And we also have non-football players actually come to our tailgate and spend some time with us. So it's really grown incredibly in the little short 2 years that we've been doing this. And as a result of that, it's kind of outgrown what we can scale up to. I mean, we basically ran this thing with really one guy and some homegrown spreadsheets trying to pull everything together, try to chase everything down. So when Orange United came on board as the preferred collective for Syracuse University, I reached out to Mark and said, there's got to be some synergies, some ways that we can work together, make this more efficient, bring benefit to the university by consolidating the channels. People can get involved in NIL, bring some value to the student athletes and increasing the opportunities for them, bring some value to my Syracuse donors with what Orange Nation offers in their subscription model and some of their other benefits, and bring some benefit to me, which is pretty important too. So Mark and I started working together, started to talk, and here we are.
That's awesome. Did you have a question, Paulie? Oh, okay, Mark Hayes, I want to bring you in now. So we've all heard about Orange United. We've talked a little bit about it here and there on the radio. For those listening, tell us all about it, how people can get involved, and what that means when we say it's the preferred collective for Syracuse sports.
Yeah, so we launched back in September as a partner of the university in terms of being that preferred collective and making sure that their entire base knows that they have a community they can go to, that all their NIL funds will be used for not just football, but all the way down to rowing. So orangeunited.com. We have memberships starting at $10.99 a month, which really has kind of opened up the access to the general fan. You're a season ticket holder, you're an alumni, you want to support on any level, you will have a direct impact on the product that you see, whether you're at the Dome or you're watching on TV. And I think that's the one thing that's been kind of missing is people really, one, don't know how to support, but also don't feel like they can support because they can't give $100,000, $1 million. They're not these large donors, but this really gives them a new connection to the team, the product that they're experiencing, but also have that new level of access that people have been clamoring for.
Do you know how important is the level that you're talking about right here? Because everybody talks about these $1 million donors. They're kind of few and far between. They're not. There's not a lot of guys with that much money running around. And how important is it for people, just the average person, to help out?
Well, the thing is yes, like the donors. I feel like the same donors get hit up every year. There's fatigue, and especially with the product, we want to make sure that you don't overextend those people. I mean, they're great supporters for various reasons, but if we can get 50,000 or 100,000 supporters, even at the $10.99 a month level, you have a fully funded NIL program. And we don't necessarily need to compete against the Ohio States, the LSUs, the ones that have the most money. Like, look at Texas A&M, for example. They have hundreds of millions of dollars, but it doesn't mean it's going to be the best product. So we can do this on a grander level with just fewer people, just because of the relationships the coaches have.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that strikes me, and it's almost a consensus out there, is people have this predilection that NIL is done with OPM, other people's money. and they think if I can't do a 5-figure deal or a 6-figure deal or a 7-figure deal, there's no place for me. And I think we've proved in a small way with Syracuse that that's not true. The athletes that we've worked with have been thrilled to be part of something like this. And Mark has taken it to the next step.
So you plan to continue the tailgate? I mean, what can we expect? I know there's still several months before the football season starts, but do you have some plans in place?
Yes, Orange United has been absolutely fabulous to work with. I kind of put together a wish list of roles and responsibilities, and they checked off every one. We will continue everything that we've done the last 2 years. Same level of support to 2 key football players, to video guests, to tailgate guests. It'll all be orchestrated through Orange United. So we are moving forward. We're not taking a step back at all, and we're looking for bigger and better things.
Mark, how does it work if somebody wants to donate and they want to earmark those funds to a certain player, certain team? Can they do that? Can it be that specific?
It could be that specific. And generally what we say is when you go to Orange United, you check out whether it be a contribution or a membership. You can select the team you want to have it for. So if you're an alum and you played on the volleyball team, you want to make an impact for your former team, you can select that. Generally, if they want to reach out and say, hey, I'd like you to go to a certain player, we can look at that opportunity. But just with how volatile things are and the transfer portals and everything, we'd usually say give it to the team as a whole. So then there's some flexibility with what we need to do.
I don't know if we're going too deep in the weeds here, but who determines how that money gets divvied up then? So say all this money goes to the volleyball team. How do they determine? Who determines who on the team gets it?
It's a joint effort between the collective and the board members, and then just discussions that we have internally, just based on need. So we got about 7 board members, like John Katko, Dave Maloney, Jackie Ferrari, Karen Sajak, Chetty Hampson. So there's internal discussions on how it would be best allocated in use of that money.
And how have you seen, Mark Cupelo from the tailgate, how it's impacted? You said that you've had, a half a dozen to a dozen student athletes that you've worked with. How have you seen what you're doing directly impact those student athletes?
From little things to things a little bit more substantial. I know that Enrique's mom, I think, some of her old friends do a girls' trip every year, and he was able to take some of the money from what we did with him and fund a trip for his mom to the Dominican a couple years ago.
That's awesome.
Great stories.
That's awesome. Mark Hayes, do you think we are moving toward a day, and it sounds like, in the news out there's headlines that we might be moving in this direction. I want to get your thoughts on it, though, where the collectives and the universities are going to kind of be one and the same? Like, do you think we're getting to a point where the collective will be a part of the university, I guess?
I assume that would be the next logical step. And now that the universities will be able to have some funds allocated to the student athletes, I mean, I don't think the collectives are ever going to fully go away because you're going to need that supplemental income. I think the requests are going to grow in terms of support from the student athletes. So I think you're always going to need to supplement and continue these efforts because you need to do activations for the NIL funds, which I think a lot of people think it's just pay to play, which I know in some terms people think that's the case, but we want to make sure with Orange United that there is some type of activity for those funds.
Anything that we're missing, gentlemen, that you want to touch on today while you're here and you've got the ears of our listeners?
Just kind of outside of football and the NIL portion of it. I've been following this worst song bracket, and it's been a lot of fun. But Paulie, I got to question the validity.
Sure.
Now he is a musical icon, but Neil Diamond actually wrote a song with the lyric, "I am, I said, to no one there, and no one heard it all." Then he got stuck and finished with, "Not even the chair." How does that not make the bracket?
It was a tough decision for the committee. I worked diligently with me.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You and yourself.
There were multiple people. How dare you? The likes of Stevie Wonder and others helped me get through this, and we made it. And Neil did not make it. Turn on a Heart Light was also a possibility, a song that was written basically about the movie E.T., Steve.
First 4 out. It was right there.
It was so close.
Just couldn't.
So close. He was lobbying me
Yeah.
to get in, but he
One
didn't
more
make
win
it.
in their conference tournament,
Yeah.
and it would have been it.
Yeah, his net was bad.
Well, now with the expanded playoffs, I think you should expand this bracket a little bit more.
Please don't say that. Don't say that. Don't give him any ideas. We're almost through
I
it,
will
thank God.
say this. There was a point today where Jordan and Brian were discussing how we were going to work things out, and I said, I don't care. I just want this over with. I'm
You
at
and
that
everyone
point.
else.
But I will say, and I do want to say again, how much we appreciate the support that this show and the two of you and Jordan have given us. It's certainly helped us grow beyond our wildest dreams. And seriously, if you want to do a remote from the tailgate in the fall, if you want to just stop by and join us for a little bit, we'd love to see you there.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And Mark Hayes, as we let you guys go today, just remind everybody how they can get involved with Orange United if they want to.
Yep. Head over to orangeunited.com. It's a very user-friendly interface, so you can either contribute or become a member. I always say become a member at any level, just so you can have access. Like we've done, we helped with the watch party for women's basketball, so there's meet the team events. Fans got field access. Orange United members got field access prior to the spring game. So there's some fun interactions, and then like we do raffles throughout the year. Like we had a Deasia Fair signed basketball once she had 3,000 points. So do stuff throughout the year to really kind of engage fans and make it a little bit more the virtual community, I always say.
Yeah, some nice perks there. Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Mark Cupelo, Mark Hayes. We're going to take a time out. We will get to that worst song bracket on the other side.
So much fun.
We're in the awful eight. We're getting there. We're back after this on ESPN Radio.